Now it's nice and quiet. I do this every week. Okay. We got our agenda and normal stuff. We'd like to make an announcement that we'd like to get someone who would volunteer to go and pick up the donuts on Saturday mornings. Howie Delo had done it for years for us, and but wants a rest. So if there's someone who's an early bird who likes to get up and okay, let's see if we can get somebody else. If there's but we'll keep you really in mind. Let's get some new bodies to help. But we'll keep Don in mind. So the donuts require you just to go and hand them a check and bring the donuts back. That's the extent. It's over in Huntley by the what is it? Barber shop and the other stuff. 47. So it's not far. So that is that project. Let's see if we can get some volunteer to really sign up and do it continuously. He's around most of the time. We can always find somebody that substitute, but it'd be good if we had one person that's responsible for it. Because you all remember that week we had about a year ago. There was no donuts. That was bad. Okay, our money situation, we have a little less than we did before, but we're doing still, we have considerable funds, and we don't have too much more to spend for quite a while. But we'll have a few things. We have one thing coming up today. And the donut fund, or our food fund for Grafton Pantry is getting close that we should make last year's a little bit better, maybe. So anybody that didn't give $1 plus, maybe $2, maybe $5, could put it in the jug on the way out too. It's about right. We don't know for sure. We had some problems last week with people, and it's close. Now, the Windows 10, we're asking you to at least, before we get a lot of people in the lab that have installed Windows 10 and have had, we've seen enough problems to know that there are problems with doing it. And if you can follow the steps that were written in the October issue of our newsletter, it should prevent most of those problems. It tells you about turning some stuff off and backups. And if you just read that first before you do it. I know our official position is maybe wait a little longer, but I know a lot of you really want to see it. So I'm guilty myself. I put it on mine. It's working. I had no problem. Most of us that put them on had no problem. So I suspect, how many here have it on their computer, Windows 10? Ooh, that's pretty good. So, how many of those had problems? Raise your hand and had a problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay. So, there are problems out there. If you go with the suggestions, it's basically doing a backup first and being sure that your antivirus is turned off and that you don't have many programs running. Well, programs running, how do I know that? Well, that's one of the problems. A lot of times there's a lot of stuff that was turned on by your services and your startups on startup. So it's hard to tell how many programs are running. So we don't know what your computer has running versus someone else's. So that is the problem with Windows installing it. They don't know either. So if you just read the October, how many got October's newsletter? Most of you. How many didn't? Raise your hand if you didn't get it in the last week. Okay, you have your profile set on the web page. So if you don't, come in and we'll talk about it. You gotta be sure your profile is set on our webpage, it's right, and then you should get it. Did you send that out to that current list yet?
No.
Or didn't go to the current list? There might be some new people who didn't get it, but we'll be sure it does get corrected. We need a motion from someone. We're talking about getting a new preventing a software that prevents you guys from screwing up the computers in the lab. That's really what it boils down to. This Drive Vaccine is a program that we're going to try something new. We used to use Deep Freeze. It's a little cheaper version. It has some benefits that we think are good. It doesn't, you know, if you were in that class, in there before, and you had a computer that locked up and you had to reboot it, even though you saved your file, it would have been lost, so you came back on. The new version will give you a second chance because it won't go away until midnight that time. So it has some advantages, and it also has some advantages on having our backups that Microsoft sends in every day go in automatically, and they still will go in. Before, we had to go manually and put those all on. Molly here? Molly's there, she's waving her hand. She's done a tremendous job of keeping the computers updated and trying to make that a little bit more automated job. But we noticed that there's still some problems with it, but we'll figure it out. So we'd like to have somebody make a motion. Okay, second it back there. What's your name?
Rick Clark.
What was your name?
Jim McGrelly.
Jim McGrelly and Rick Clark. Okay, for $650, that would be the maximum. Any other discussion out there? Let's have a vote. Aye?
Aye.
No nays, right? Okay. So we had a majority. Okay, Ralph, your turn. There's your first class. Yeah, it's not one, right? Good. Good. No, there's 3 slides.
3.
Yeah, I couldn't get it all in one.
Well, I just wanted to mention a few things about our training. It's been going pretty well. You probably noticed that in the month of October, we're going to have 2 classes on Windows 10, and we probably expect about this many people. And the lab's going to hold maybe 35. We could maybe standing room get 40. And the problem, we couldn't get the Oak Elm room across the hall on the 7th, but we got it for the 14th. So if you want to get in there on the 7th, you better be early, because we're going to have to cut it off as soon as we get full. But then on the 14th, we'll be able to handle twice as many. And depending on how things go, how many we turn away, we might try to run a class or 2 again, you know, slide it in maybe in November. A lot depends on the teacher. You know, we're all learning on Windows 10. I got it on mine, and Frank said, anybody having trouble? I have trouble with everything, but I just ask guys in the computer club and they fix me up. But anyway, we're going to kind of play this crawl before we walk and run with the Windows 10. And that's kind of the way I think the computer club wanted to do too, is we don't want 500 people loading 10 and 400 coming in with problems. We don't have enough monitors, but we could use more. The classes, Jim Nelson's done a really good job on the classes. We have them listed on our website. They're on the Friday blurb that comes out. You can click on that and it lists the classes for the month. They're on the monitor, and we also have them posted in the lab. So if you really want to know what the classes are going to be, there's a lot of places to find out. Frank, I wasn't really planning on going through all the classes. One thing I was going to tell you, that we had classes all the time, and even Ken came up with a possible class that we're thinking about, and I forgot what it was already, but it's about pictures. But anyway, we got 53 classes. But Jeff Stipes has got one called The Anatomy of Computer System. And that might be interesting. You know, some people, you talk about a RAM, you talk about hard drives, the motherboards and all that, and somebody said, well, what does it do? I said, I don't know, I just know it's in there. But he'll be able to tell you a lot of the stuff on the anatomy of the computer. And If you have any questions about classes, be sure and ask one of the monitors in our lab. And once again, I know there's a lot of really intelligent people sitting out there. We do need some more instructors. It's really not hard. I mean, it's like sitting around the table talking about something that you know. And we'll teach you how to run the slide projector, and it's a very simple operation. So please, if you think you want to share some of your knowledge with some of your neighbors and some of your fellow computer club members, tell one of the monitors in the lab, and I'll talk to you, and we'll try to get a class set up either that you want to teach or maybe that you know how to teach that we've already got listed. Thank you.
Okay, I'll show you the next two slides then, just in case you want to. This says Windows 10 and email and messaging. We're coming up on the 13th of, and then on the 19th is a Picasa class that I'll be putting on. It tells a lot about editing your pictures and organization and the whole program of Picasa, which is a free program from Google. And then the anatomy of a computer on the 22nd. And then we got one that's going to drag across in October. It's going to be 3 sessions Word class. So here's the list of the board meetings coming up. You guys can read that. These slides are up on the internet too, so if anything on the slides, you can go look at the video. And we have a showcase coming up on Thursday, October 22nd. It's always interesting to see what they come out new, or what goodies they bring, or who brings the hot dogs and leaves the popcorn at home. And there is a field trip. This is one that is pretty good. It's put on by the NAC, Neighborhood Advisory Council. It's an open house at the high school. We'll meet them over there, and they'll show us around, have some students be in the class, and we'll have a time to talk to the financial officer and a few of the principal and a few other things. It should be, it's not as in depth as it was when we went to grammar school, because they want to get us out of the high school faster, I think. I don't know. But it should be interesting. So that was a free program. You have to register just that we know the number of people that are coming. And it's on the 27th, so you all have time. And then our big presentation. George?
Well, this is going to be a 3-part presentation, and I've got the historic part of it. And then we go on into the future. A little bit of history about our club. Many of you are familiar with this, some of you may not be, but our club was formed by 3 individuals. Other people participated, but these were the key players. Back in 1999, John Corwin, John Malloy, and Grant Maggart formed this club. And I think it was one of the first charter clubs that they actually had here in Sun City. The original lab was 50% of the current so-and-so's sewing room. And from 99 until the year 2007, that was it. We met in the multi-purpose room. We fit in the multi-purpose room. And we were a much smaller club at that time. In 2007, the club moved to the current lab. At that time, we repaired about 200 machines a year, and our general memberships, as I say, were in the multi-purpose room. The board at that time was Bill Zaletti, Ken Zerwinski, John Shannon, and Daniel Jansek. Some of those names will be familiar. Some may not be as familiar. They're not with the club anymore. In fact, they're not in Sun City anymore. But this is a slide in December of 2007 when Bill Zaletti, at the meeting, general meeting, announced our move was complete to the new lab. We moved on November 17th. We reopened November 26th. And this is really important. The new machines, 2 new Vista machines. A dual display monitor. We had a laptop zone, and we had 2 new desktop repair areas in the closet, as you recall. But this was a big step up, and it's hard to think about this, but you know, that's 8 years ago. In 8 years, we were in that same facility. Facility looks something like this, as you all recall. I know there are many comments from some of our people that we should be able to take over the women's washroom and expand, but Cam vetoed that idea clearly. Okay? You know, we really got into an acute situation as far as space, the ability to fix computers, and that's basically the result of what really has happened to our membership. We went from about 600 to 1,753 in 2014. Machine repairs went from 234 to 1,630. Now, I think a lot of that, I'm not sure that, there are 2 factors there. One is more people had computers out here, and more people decided that they ought to get them fixed, so they didn't have to stumble along with machines that didn't work well, and they found that we were a very good resource to do that. So, we've been trying for several years. This move was not a thing that happened this year. 3 years that I was president, I did a lot of politicking to try to get us a bigger room. Not a lot of it successful. Some of you remember Bill Panack. Very hard to get Bill Panack excited about too much. And but then Lauren came along, and I kind of had her convinced in November that we needed to move, and shortly after she came here, but that really didn't move too well. And from a meeting in July, August of last year, it was actually a finance committee meeting over in the Willow Room, and I called her and said, you know, we really have to do something about making available more space. And she said, well, how would this room be? And I said, I'll take it. And that's where things began to move. Now, we had planned, we made a presentation to the Facility Use Committee in August. It was approved, basically. We thought that things would move along, and we had great plans to move at Christmas, the holiday season, as we usually do, close the lab at that time anyway. That didn't work out real well. We found that things moved a little slower than we thought, but they did move little by little. And now we have this room. And I'd like to, you know, you make some decisions that are good and some that are bad. I'd like to say that the best decisions that I made on this whole process in moving was appointing Joe Quinn to run it. Joe Quinn did a remarkable job with drawings, the plans, supervising the meetings, working with Dave in facilities management, and did a great job. And Frank did a great job of scouting equipment, types of things that we wanted to put into the lab, and pulling that all together, we ended up with this lab, and it really is a very functional thing. If you haven't been to the lab, please come, take a look at it. You noticed in the last lab we had everybody stumbling over everything. You had to go through the training area to get anywhere. We used the training area for repairs. The training area was used for slide scanning, for all of the conversion type equipment that we had. Now these things are all segregated in separate areas, and it's really a much more functional situation. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Joe Quinn.
Okay, I get to talk about the fun part. George is over there. Which one's the up button?
Down button inside. Down. Down.
This is what the classroom looks like now. Virtually the same physical size as the classroom we had before, more or less. A little bit more room in the back, a little bit more room in the front. But you'll notice there is nothing on the desk. It is clean, so you don't have any obstruction. I'm sure Frank will talk about the projector when he gets there, because that was kind of his baby, and he's the one that found it all. In the classroom, we have the projector I just mentioned. We have a podium, which we didn't have before. All the monitors are under the table rather than on top. There's no obstructions, and there's multiple level lighting. It says 2-level lighting, but there's multiple sets of lighting. So it becomes a matrix of how many lights there are. This is what the desktop looks like now. You looking down on the top of the monitor, the keyboard there. Whoops, we got a problem with this one, Frank. Anyway, there's more capabilities. George mentioned about the stuff that was on the top of the scanners and all. That's all set aside on the, if you were to look at the back of the room, it would be on the right side when you get in the door, the front door. And you'll see it's got the different capabilities, which include the photo scanners, the 2 for 35 millimeter and stuff like that. I keep forgetting I gotta flip this thing. This was originally set up automatic. You can do 35 millimeter, scan up to 12 at a time. It will also do negatives. It actually do regular paper too. And then if you want to make a disc and make it look professional, you can actually paint it. Most people call it printing, but it's actually paint, they call it. You can paint a disc, you can put text on it, you can put pictures on it, in color if you want, or black and white. This is all on that table, including this Kodak scanner. A lot of people have used the Kodak scanner for doing slides, and you do them in batches, and good luck trying to keep up with how fast this machine runs. And it does an excellent job. By the way, that's another one of Frank's innovations. On that machine, you can both scan photos and documents. You can save them direct to a USB drive. You put it in the clouds. You can do it in the members area, or you can save it to the computer that's right there. By the way, each one of those machines has their own dedicated computer. You can in the lab now, you can do cassettes. You can do vinyls. If anybody remembers those vinyls. You can do 8 millimeter and 8 millimeter plus. The old VHS tapes, if you want to digitize those. And you can do editing of movies, home movies, whatever, okay? So all those movies that you made little, you can put music, whatever you want with it. And we have a table there for those that have a lot of imagination. You can actually, it's kind of like we call it Etch-a-Sketch, but you can do a whole bunch of different things on design, and John does a lot with tombstones and stuff like that. Seeing as it's Halloween coming up, you can also create DVDs on Roxio. There are other ways, but Roxio is the most prevalent unit. We have a laptop area here. We also have a laptop area out in the other side of the wall from the classroom, but this is basically for repairing laptops. The other one's kind of like people that come in and need help with program information, excuse me, or downloads. This is a network. It used to be in the back room before, it's right out here now, and it's hooked up the same thing. We still have the secure as well as an open network for people coming in with their laptops. The speed on this network, however, is head and shoulders above what we had over here, and we haven't had to go and recycle the router at all since we've been there that I know of. And these are reasons to be a member. One of the things that I didn't mention in this, because I put this together a while back, we also have a subgroup of photography work, and we also do, the Apple and Mac group is mentioned in here, and they still meet twice a month. We'll make it happen. Thank you.
Okay, before we get started on a few slides I have, I want to just talk a little bit about, this is the time of the year to get involved in photography. You know, you got boxes and slides at home, you want to get them scanned, give them to the kids, if nothing else. Give them the disc with all the pictures on it. But it's also a great time to make photo books, you know, the album books that you can print, you get printed out and leave on a coffee table at home. They are really a very good idea for Christmas.
Yeah.
This is the time to do it now. They'll be having sales on producing books, but those things will only last until around, usually before Thanksgiving. They stop sales and they get enough of that late minute stuff that they don't need to have any promotion. So you get in now, you can get sales, so you make your book and then you wait for a sale. And then you have it printed. In some cases it's 50% off or 25 or free freight or something they have it at this time of the year. So think about getting your stuff organized and making a little gift book for your grandkids. We have quite a few people in the lab that have had experience and have examples. Is Teresa here? No, Teresa. Oh yeah, she's back there, I see her. How many books you make? A lot. We have a couple other people too that are, one of the women has got really hooked into it too, and I guess she can blame me for that. You can get, it really can get addictive after a while. If you give it to one, you gotta give it to the other kid. So it will make a difference. You can make slideshows, you can make all kinds of features with those pictures, and it makes use out of them. And besides that, you get all that storage, that space you had with all the albums at home, cleared out. There's one thing that I want to ask is, how many people here would think they would have a use for a scanner that would take pictures of big books? Like, you know, scanned photo albums. And let's say it's 11 by 17 size scanner. Would anybody have lots of photographic albums that you could just scan that way without taking the pictures out? Would that be something that you'd want? Let's see a hands that anyone would have a use for something like that. Okay, it's quite a few. We'll see what we can do on that too. Let's see. Okay. New software in the lab is ProShow Producer. This is a program that is a Cadillac of slideshow production. And I got a video here. It's a video I normally don't show, but today we're doing good on time. It's about 5 minutes, and I'll talk over part of it. But it shows you what it really can do. It's they used every effect that they have. So a lot of the effects are, I wouldn't say easy. Some are very hard. But all the effects that they show in this film are capable of doing, and you could become a star of a real good presentation. And they also have a wizard mode in there that you just put all your pictures in and press a button and it comes out magically. But they usually have to have some editing of the features that they use, because otherwise they'll get sick from moving around too much. A lot of effects you'll find when the slides change. You can do a lot better with fewer effects and more of the same effect, or maybe 2 or 3 effects instead of everyone. So I'll see if this works here. We get it to the next. See how loud it is going to be. It's rumbling. Now all these motions you see, they're all from one picture, usually. You know, like the penguins on both sides and the ones that are the same video clip. It also does video clips, but this program is designed for short video clips, but it'll do longer ones too. So this is something that's, you know, I think if you have some experience with Picasa making slideshows and ran out of creative ideas in there, or you had wanted music that had on all the pictures, if you want each picture or each couple pictures to have its own theme, you wanted to do it, this is the program to do it in. And it helps it when you have good-looking people throughout the whole presentation too. That's one of the first clues. If you have good-looking young grandchildren, put them in there. Babies, they really are a star. They're showing it the wizard feature here, where you can take just put a group of pictures in there, pick a music. There's 250 pieces of music in this program, so you don't have to go out and scrounge up music. This music is licensed for this use, and it might have it's used royalty free in most applications. If you put it on TV, it's not royalty free.
Frank, the mouse pointer up.
FX effects are like a video effect where the basic movement is designed in this effect, and you put the picture in it, and it will then display that effect with your pictures in it. So that's what this FX effects are. There must be 200 of those too, like this one here. That's one picture really. It was cut up into individual pictures. This is it. That masking effect is quite involved, but it's really cool because it shows the texture of what you want it to be, not some text of a font. These here will, with the script, like they have a bunch of fonts too. About 200 fonts, extra fonts that are hollow fonts, or really make the stand out with interesting, you can make the font match the picture. This program, if you want to know, if you want to buy it, it's sort of expensive. It's about $250 for this version. So it's a good example of what we can do in the computer lab. For all, you can use it, and you don't necessarily have to buy it. And the output can be anything. You can output it to all these different areas. But you can just do it to a CD drive or a thumb drive. Just play it on a computer to the TV. That's getting to be a popular way now because a lot of them will go wirelessly, or you put it on your laptop or your tablet and broadcast it to the TV. That is a real popular way of presenting the shows on your TV and not having a lot of problems. So, with that,
Frank?
yeah.
This is the class that Ralph had said that I had suggested that I might want to teach.
Wait a second here. I think it's on.
Press it again.
I guess not. That Dope Show Producer, that's the class I had talked to Ralph earlier about, that I've been thinking about teaching. I just made a 300 slide show for my class reunion, and I developed that and I posted it. It's up on YouTube now for my classmates to view. It looks pretty sophisticated, and it is, but you can do some really nice things without a lot of effort. So, a little promotion for this class that is probably going to be coming up maybe in the spring or winter, I guess. Is the
Winter.
in January, yeah. So, if you're interested in going a little bit beyond what you can do with Picasa, we will probably have a class in January on this excellent program.
Thanks. When are we going to see your show? We got to get your show available. Maybe we'll show it at the next meeting in the beginning of when we come in. He's doing a reunion, right?
It's a bunch of old people.
Yeah, well, hey, we all fit in. So, with this, I'm going to tell you about these two items that we have. We have a cube lighting arrangement that we have. We dragged that out. It was there for a long time. Never told you that it was available. You can borrow it, sign out, take your pictures for your ads. If you got some small items, you want some pictures. It has lights, it's cloth, shines in, and gives not too many shadows, or none. There's a mat that curls up so you don't have no back seam in the box. You might have to press that though. It's been laying in the box. We also have a projector that if you ever want to have a slideshow at home and you want to do it on a projector on a wall at home, you don't need to have a white wall. If you have anything in a light beige and a lighter colored wall, it's amazing how good they do look. And your eyes tweak it. Everybody will think that's a white wall. It's amazing. So those are available. Any questions on our general topics today? We'll take them. Turn the lights up here so we get a little can see you.
If you'll raise your hand, we'll bring the microphone to you.
Getting back to Windows 10, how long can we wait before we download it, and will we be cut off from support if we don't?
You got a year from last month. So, July. August. Yeah, say from the 1st of August on, it's, by next year, you'll have all that time to get it installed for free. So you want to get it on I'm saying, in the, you know, we can start doing it, but just use common sense. Yes?
Frank?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick question on photo decks. Can you use your own soundtracks off your
Yes.
MP3s?
Yeah. You can use your own sound or the 250, there's 250 tracks built in, and they're very good. Some are real long too. Some are 7 minutes. Some are 10 seconds. You know, they also have some noise type, sound type like rain and all that stuff. John?
Yeah, hi, I just want to take a minute, and I'm sure everybody feels the same way. I think George and Joe and Frank and everybody who participated in that new lab, and there are many folks here who just quietly came in and did their thing. I've seen them working there, and it was a lot of labor of love going into there, and I think we just need to give them a real warm appreciation.
Any other questions? Okay, I can talk a little bit about that projector. What we have there is a Epson Breitling projector. It's used, a lot of schools have them nowadays, and a lot of businesses. And we've seen one at the place I used to work, at Icone Division of Illinois Toolworks. They just put one in. We went down there last March we went down, I guess it was, and seen it, we fell in love with it. So that's how we got that piece of equipment in here. And it allows you to have a whiteboard as well as a projector. And the projector is only 12 inches from the wall, which is a good trick when you produce that size picture to make it only 12 inches from the wall. It's like, hey, how does this thing work? And then it also has touch. You got pens, you can touch the panel and write on it. You can use it also like a giant tablet. Use it, click the buttons and they work. It's all like miracles. So it's quite a big look. We're going to learn more on how to use it in our classes. Right now we've all got basics. Knows how to use the whiteboard a little bit, and the projector. So it should make classes a little more interesting, and you'll be able to see it because the picture's pretty big, 100-inch diagonal, pretty close to that. So with that, we got one more question over here.
Yeah, we're snowbirds, and I don't know how many others are in the same situation, but like the class that Ken mentions being presented in January, we can't go to it. I wonder how many people feel, as I do, that the cycling of classes should repeat in the summer or be set up.
Yeah, spring. Yeah, we'll try to. We'll see how those classes go, and we'll no doubt put them on a class structure. When do most of the snowbirds get back? Let's have a time here. How many snowbirds we have in the class, in this meeting? And how many are back by April 15th? May 1st. Okay. And we're also going to try taping some of the classes in the next few weeks, I guess. We're going to try taping them and see how this works. That they can look at.
We have a question over there.
Yes.
Well, not as much a question, just a point of clarification. Frank talked about that 1 foot, 18-inch drop off on the projector, and I don't know how many of you realize how important that is. Most of our old projector is about 12 feet from the screen, roughly, and light dissipates at a very rapid rate when it's actually 1 over distance squared, okay? So when you're showing in the old lab, when you were working with photographs, you were looking at a screen on the computer and seeing a very vivid, beautiful photograph. By the time that photograph got to the screen and you were trying to talk to people about editing it, it was washed out, colors were faded, and your comments didn't make any sense because people are looking at the screen and they can't see your screen where it's vivid colors. This system produces a screen image almost identical, and I would challenge most people to tell the difference between the computer screen and that screen. And it's beautiful for photographs, particularly for our photographic classes. It's a tremendous step forward in terms of our ability to present something. And it is, Frank's a little bit, wasn't quite taking as much credit. It is definitely state of the art, and I would say that that lab in our training facility would stack up against any university in the country right now. Now, they may have more stations, but station for station, nobody's got any better equipment than we do.
Yes, that was really, it's a 3-camera, 3-lens. It has 3 LEDs, or light sources shining through sensors that see the pictures. So most of the cameras use only 2. And this has 3, so it has 1, you get whites, you get blacks. So the colors are really close to what you see on a monitor. And when you look at those projectors, you just scratch your head because it's sort of a strange concept for what they're working with. Light, transparency, of shining it through something to pick up the image that they're turning electrons on to change colors. So it's magic, really. It really is technologically magic because there's so many things that are involved in that. And then they have electronic pens that know where you're positioned outside. So you have to come in and see it and really get a feel for how it really works. I would like to make another plea for more people to come into the lab and volunteer for helping. Lab monitors, people that can help. It seems like in our new location we lost a few. We had a few people turn up sick, and we're always in need. Now, the only problem with this is you come over, we thank you for coming, and we ignore you the rest of the day. We don't tend to do that. It just turns out that way because there's people there we're helping. So what it really requires is you to follow us around and go look what we're doing. And you might feel like we left you out, but we really didn't. We're trying to get to service as many people as we can. So when you come over, just come over with that, knowing that that's going to happen. It won't get you so confused and thinking we're ignoring you. We're not. We need help all the time, and we pay to come over and see what you can do. And when it's amazing how many things you can fix I fixed 3 things last Friday. I didn't do that. I just haven't turned the computer on, and it worked. 2 of them worked that way, and 1 worked another way. It was just as dumb. I took a Wi-Fi card out of a laptop, and you say, well, where's that? Well, it's inside. You just unscrew it and plug it back in. And they worked on it all day, and they didn't get it. I said, well, let's try this, because I've tried it 3 times before, and it worked. Well, it's 4 times now. I tried it, it worked. So I don't know why you unplug the card and plug it back in, and it worked.
Dust.
It could have been dust. It could have been a static charge. The card could have had an error in it. When I unplugged it, it lost all power completely. Even though I had the battery out, the cord was out. The computer was supposedly dead, but we all know there's a charge of capacitors in there that could keep some power on in those circuits. But anyways, it worked. So this didn't require anything other than a screwdriver to fix. So a lot of things you can learn. That example is one thing that none of the people that come in would ever think of doing, and it is relatively easy. Sometimes getting the case apart is the real major problem because they have all these, interlocking plastic parts that snap together, and how hard do you pull to get them apart is the question. So that is the challenge that we leave you with today, is come out there and try to learn something and you'll have some fun too at the same time.
Frank, would you just remind people that are sitting at the tables that they need to dispose of their trash, wipe them down, fold the cloth,
Yep. We
and
have a
thank
cloth.
you to our volunteers who
Yep.
set up for us.
And we'll see you next month. Thank you.
I'll see you later. About 1 hour later. I can't wipe this down until you continue to be gone.